as you've seen entrepreneurs come in and create their first virtual events, are there any common blind spots that you see entrepreneurs have and things that I should be aware of to make sure that I don't miss so that it sets me up for better success in the end?
I'm just such a fan of showing up human and authentically and live, and that being enough, really.
Okay.
The purpose really is to get to know, like, and trust you.
Hmm.
And I think that happens absolute best when they're live and they can interact with you and see that you're human.
Hmm.
It just makes everything more real. I know we're still hanging out in a Zoom window, but there is just something to be said for two-way communication that makes it an event versus watching Netflix.
Sure.
How are entrepreneurs like us daring bravely to build a stage, ditch the sweatpants, and step up to the mic? How do we create our own transformative events so we can get our message out into the world in a bigger way that's not only profitable, but it's actually something we can be proud of? That's the question. And the answers are inside this podcast. My name is Sarah Pfeiffer. Welcome to Greenroom Central. Today, I brought into Greenroom Central Studios Maria Tedjamulia, a 4-time business founder and #1 bestselling author and creator of the Mom MBA. As a dedicated mom of 5, she inspires purpose-driven women to lead and find freedom, drawing on her background in business and event management. She's come on the podcast today to talk about designing her first ever virtual summit. Maria, welcome to Greenroom Central Studios. Say hello to Linchpin Nation.
Hello, Linchpin Nation. Thank you so much for having me, Sarah.
I'm thrilled. This is going to be exciting because we're going to do another coaching call episode on the podcast today. And when Maria popped into my DMs with a question about an upcoming event, I thought, oh, how perfect. Let's just chat on the podcast because A, selfishly, we haven't chatted in a while and I really wanted to hang out. And B, I thought it would be really valuable for you to hear on the podcast as listeners, our conversation. So, and then it should hopefully be like a triple win. Then Maria gets to get some questions answered about our upcoming event. This is going to be fun. I would love to start by having you tell us a little bit more about your business because of course, they just heard your bio and it's so fascinating. Like, it's a really, really cool community you serve. And I definitely feel like I am your target audience. So I just tell us a little bit more about who you serve and why, like, your heart was called to this space and like what you love the most about it.
Sure. So before having kids and things like that, I have a background in business. I love event management, kind of grew up around it. But my dream has always been to be a stay-at-home mom. And so once I started having babies, I was like, yes, this is where I need to be. But then a couple of years in, I was invited by my sister to start to help her produce a large women's event in Albuquerque a number of years ago, and we did it together, and it was so much fun. And it started to spark this entrepreneurial piece in me, and I started to see this. This need that there was out there for women, particularly that there were so many women who were feeling, depressed, anxious, overwhelmed, and there were experts who could help. And so in our conference, we brought together these experts with these women, and I saw just this transformation happen. And so that started to plant this seed of like, wow, there's this need, and I can help and I can serve. But as I started doing that, and I moved into some other entrepreneurial ventures as well, I found it increasingly difficult for me as a mom because at the time, I think whenever I did the conference, I had 3 kids, and then I had baby number 4 afterwards, and then now I have 5. And so as I was been doing these entrepreneurial ventures and continuing being a mom, like a full-time stay-at-home mom, I was like, you know, how can I balance it all? Like, and I see out there on the
Yeah.
internet, like women who are crushing it, who have all these kids. I'm like, how in the heck are they doing this?
Right?
And
Yeah.
so it kind of led me on this journey of trying to figure it out. And so, fast forward a little bit to being pregnant with baby number 5, and I kind of figured out some systems and things that were working so that I could do work in addition to being a mom.
Sure.
I was there and I was going through some medical bills and kind of noticed one that was a little bit off, and so I almost pulled out my credit card just to pay it. But I was like, no, like I really don't think that I owe this much. And so I just took a few
Mhm.
seconds and pulled out my explanation of benefits. And sure enough, the hospital was asking me to pay 10 times the amount that I actually owed. And so I challenged it and only paid what I need. And planted in me this idea that, wow, like how many women are out there who are just paying the bills, who don't have that financial education that I have, because I have my MBA. I got that back about
Okay.
12 years ago or something. And I have this business background that I use to run my home. Like, wow, there's an opportunity here. I mean, if these women are trying to
Mm.
figure out how to run their homes and run their lives and run their businesses, um, and they don't already have this business acumen in the background, like it's just going to make it so much harder. And so that's where this Mom MBA was sparked. Actually, I was like 8 months pregnant, doing bills. And I realized that this is a way that I could serve and help other moms be able to get on top of the businessy details of their home and their life, so that they can pursue those callings on their heart, so they can follow those dreams that they want to follow, all while being the kind of mom and being present the way that they want to be.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful. I want all of that.
And it's been fun. It's been a great journey because it's been, to be honest, like it's been during nap time, it's been during evenings, it's been school hours or here and there, little pieces here and there that I've been able to pull together the business. And so, yeah, it may not be like a rocket ship like some people out there who spend full
Sure.
time on it, but I'm happy and I'm proud of the work that we're creating, because there are a lot of moms who are like you and me who are doing this while being moms and
Yes.
need to find that balance so that we have a more fulfilling, rich life.
Yeah. Oh, couldn't agree more. I could talk about that all day, but we are here to talk about your next event.
Yes, yes.
And so let me get a few details from you. First, is this a fulfillment event or an enrollment event?
So this is an enrollment event.
Okay.
Hmm.
And you already know what you're enrolling them into?
I do. Hmm.
Okay. And is this going to be in person or virtual?
Virtual.
Okay. And you had, if you wouldn't mind sharing, what's the name of the product that you're selling and the price point?
Sure. That we'll be selling at the end is our Mom MBA signature program. So get your Mom MBA from the Mom CEO School. And the price
That's
point
so
on that
cool.
is $13.97.
Okay. All right. And do you currently have a plan for the event to be free or paid?
We're going to do a low price point, and I'm
Okay.
looking at doing it at about $27. So basically my goal is for it to help pay for the ads to get them in.
Okay. That was my next question, is traffic.
Hmm.
What is your current plan for traffic?
Ads. I have
Ads.
a small audience online, smallish email list, and yeah, I'm grateful I have in my back pocket a husband who's a CMO who specializes in ads. So he's like,
That's
honey, come help me.
amazing.
So
That's amazing. Okay. Uh, and okay. So we've got traffic from ads, and the sales system is going to be the event
mhm.
then, since it is an enrollment event. And then we've got the offer of the Mom MBA signature program at $13.97.
Mhm.
Okay. And do you have a target for how many you'd like to enroll?
Yes, I do. I don't have that at my fingertips right now, but if you take 1 second to look it up, I did a whole
Yeah.
whiteboarding exercise the other night where went through and looked at the numbers and said, okay, what is my target? What do I need to enroll?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What are things looking?
Yeah.
So let me just pull that number up real quick.
While you're doing that, tell me a little bit about who is going to be in the room. So,
Sure.
like, your ideal traffic is going to be.
So my ideal traffic are going to be women entrepreneurs who have children
Okay.
that are, school age or younger.
Okay. Like still in the house, school age.
Still in the house.
So basically high school and younger.
Mhm.
Okay.
So my numbers, what we're looking at, and this might be a little bit aggressive for a first event, and you tell me what
Mhm.
your opinion is. This is something that I'm really curious to get your insights in. So with paid traffic, we're hoping to get 2,000 registrants into the conference,
Okay.
and then guessing maybe a 10% conversion rate. I don't know if that's a fair rate to look at or not. That would be at about 200 people enrolling in Mom MBA. That's like my big, hairy, audacious goal, my BHAG.
Oh, okay. So 200 is you'd love to have 200 take the offer.
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me, let's actually, I want to move into your vision for the structure for a moment, and we'll circle back to this.
Okay. Yeah.
Talk to me about, do you have a vision for how you're structuring the agenda?
Yes. So my vision is to be like a summit of sorts where it's going to be across 3 days, and there'll be approximately 10-ish speakers. Each speaker has a presentation that they give that's approximately 40 to 45 minutes, and then it's followed up with a Q&A where I jump on with them and talk about their presentation, and then I do an intro every day and an outro, and then begin to introduce my Mom MBA program after the event or towards the end of the event. And I mean, Sarah, I've never done this before. I mean,
Yeah.
I produced events that are just more like inspirational events or entertainment events. Like that's my niche in the event space, like my past life. And but when it comes to like a sales event, I am not very familiar with this. And
Okay.
so
So purely social events is like your
yeah,
background. So,
yeah,
but
that's
you understand logistics. So
oh,
like,
for sure.
that's like a big piece that a lot of people don't get.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I
Got it.
understand the
So
logistics of like
you're
the strategy, like how do I, because
yeah.
I remember, and the reason why I want to bring in experts is because I remember when I was a young mom that I attended an online summit similar to this online conference, and
Mhm.
I was introduced to a lot of great experts that had helped steer me as a mother and had such a huge impact on me. Uh,
Mm.
and then I ended up actually buying from the person who was putting it on as well. So um,
Mhm.
I want to provide a similar experience for other moms as well to give them
Mm.
the widespread of options of experts, and then also provide them with the solution that I give them as well.
Yeah. So, all right, tell me a little bit more of, I have some thoughts already.
Sure.
What kind of quantity you're seeing? So you're saying 3 days. how many speakers are you thinking you want to have?
10.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you want to basically open and close each day,
Mhm.
and you want to do Q&A with each speaker?
Yep, and how I wanna do it too is that, like, have it be very automated where the presentations are pre-recorded, the Q&As are pre-recorded, and that basically the page goes live, and then they have 24 hours to watch that particular day's worth of sessions.
Mhm.
And then after 24 hours, that page is shut down, next one comes up, watch the next
Mhm.
day, and then move on. I'm considering possibly doing a upsell ticket, like a VIP type of ticket where they get the recordings longer, like
Mm.
access to those, possibly
Mhm.
even a access to a panel Q&A with the speakers where they can ask questions. I don't know. Still toying with this a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. What else? Is there anything else that you have a vision for that you haven't shared yet?
Um, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. All right, I'm tracking with you.
The other thing actually maybe I should
And
just mention is that my
yeah.
budget for the speakers, like
Okay.
this is gonna be I'm asking the speakers to come in and just share in exchange for exposure. I'll be paying for the ads and getting traffic to the piece, and then they're gonna have an opportunity to share a lead magnet with the audience as well, and we'll put that on the website so that people can opt into their email list. But that's kind of where my mind is with those things.
Okay. So from a cost perspective, you want to basically only spend money on ads, and then of course if there's any platform related costs, like I'm
Sure.
assuming like Zoom or your landing page software, but
Hmm.
from a, like really minimal. You're not thinking like sending out swag to people's
No,
homes or okay.
no, not right now, at least.
Yeah. Well, this is like I love to share that, like if those ideas do come up and like, oh wait, that would be outside of the scope of the budget for this event.
Hmm.
I still love to put it in a parking lot and say like, well, it's not a no, it's just not a not this event, because perhaps like version 2 or 3 we're able to slot that in
Yes.
and add that additional piece to the experience. Okay. Do you have Tell me about why you're selecting a pre-recorded model.
The reason why I'm selecting a pre-recorded model is because I'm just trying to minimize the technical pieces with it. I don't want to have too many fires day of.
Okay. So it's just strictly like fear of tech.
Yeah, fear of tech, and then also to be able to allow the presenters to be able to uh, record their best presentations that they can.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Help them be able to have
Mm-hmm.
quality control there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So you want to even have the opportunity to edit
Hmm.
speaker presentations.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Does it have anything? Is there any other reason, or is it strictly for controlling the quality and tech?
Hmm. Those just the two pieces are the main parts.
Okay, so I'm wondering, how much time are you thinking you want the event to go each day? Like for how many
I want there
hours?
to be between 3 and 4 hours worth of content for them to hear each day.
Okay, got it.
Another reason why I am leaning towards the pre-recorded, and I didn't mention earlier, is because my audience being moms, a lot of moms listen on the go and kind of in the pockets of their day and pockets of their time. So I want the
Mhm.
presentations to be available to them when they can listen to it, whether that be morning times, during nap time, while they're driving, late night, whatever it is, and they don't have to be tied to showing up at a specific time.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah. So let's talk about a few things that are in play here. So I think it is important to understand your audience, and I love that you have that sensitivity that they may not be able to carve out the time live, and so you want to make sure that they have the experience recorded so that they can go watch it when it works with their schedule. I love that. And also, I do think with your particular audience, I agree that I agree with the model that something be that whatever it is available to them recorded so that they can watch it when it fits for them. However, I don't think that it has to be recorded to start.
Mm.
And the reason why I say that is like an event, there is something exciting about being together live. And there is some sort of like energy. And I think people do tend to want to try and make it work if it's live to be able to show up. And I feel like we have a higher chance of getting a higher a show up rate
Mm.
when the thing is actually live. Because even if they're not able to come pop in at the beginning, they still might try and pop in the middle, where if it's always recorded, it already kind of becomes this thing, well, like I'll get to it if I can get to it,
Ah.
versus kind of orchestrating their day. And this parts comes into the communication too of the event itself, where you're like, you've made this commitment to yourself that this is really important to you, that you get better at this. And let's honor that commitment that you've already made to yourself by showing up and showing up live. And in order to do that, what I recommend, because I've already become a Mom MBA, is that you mark this time off on your calendar, that you make childcare arrangements so that you can show up, be fully present, and yada yada yada.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure you can probably go back through many emails that you've gotten from event hosts in the past that have been virtual and see similar language where they're asking you to honor the commitment that you made to yourself to show up for the thing by marking the calendar and making the arrangements so you can be there.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's done that way is just like you get higher engagement when they're there with you
Mm.
live. And even if they were able to just only catch like a slice live, they have a higher chance of them then wanting to watch the replay, because they now have some FOMO because they caught a little and they're like, well, what did I miss out on? So I want to go and make that happen. So I would push for not doing pre-recorded, because I think for all those reasons, I just think you get a higher engagement rate and a higher show up rate if it's live,
Mhm.
and you're able to make a stronger connection with them. There's just something about it being live
Yeah.
TV
Yeah.
versus, recorded TV that just, it hits people a little bit differently when they're able to interact with you in the chat and with each other and form this little mini micro community.
Yeah.
And so I'll just going to plant that seed that I strongly recommend that it's not pre-recorded, and you just embrace that it could be messy. People actually like that and find that vulnerable and
Uh-huh.
amazing, and use simple tech, so if tech glitches kind of freak you out, then I would just make sure that you are in an environment where you know that your internet is reliable and strong, and you use a platform that everyone already has figured out how to use, which in my opinion would be
Yep.
Zoom. And don't overcomplicate it by trying to do something else that has like shiny features. And it'll be like, and then have someone with you that can let people in, can be in the chat and moderating it, can be making sure that your guests are showing up on time and like getting into the room. But that would be my recommendation, is that you try and do it that way.
I have a
So
question.
that's my
Yeah, I've
first.
got a question
Yeah, go
about
ahead.
that. Have you ever seen it done successfully to do almost a hybrid where the presentation is there's an intro, live intro,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
presentation played, and then afterwards there's like a pre-recorded presentation played, and then afterwards we come on live with the presenter and I'm the
Yeah.
host, and then we field questions, and then whoever's there on live can ask, and then we can
Yeah.
that.
So from a technical standpoint, that's more
Oh,
complicated to do, and you probably will not be able to do that by
okay.
yourself very easily without buying additional equipment for your home or hiring an AV team to help you with that.
Okay.
So I wouldn't recommend going that route if you're just doing like a solo kind of want to be easy on the budget and simple from a tech standpoint. I wouldn't mix the two.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. If you're going to go pre-recorded, everything is pre-recorded and you're just basically putting a video up on a landing
Okay.
page. If you're going to go live, make the whole thing live. That's going to be the easiest path and the cheapest path, the most budget-friendly path, if is to choose one of those two ways. Don't mix
Okay.
them. So the next thing I wanted to touch on is your offer. So your offer is you. And I find that you're offering you, yet it's a little bit conflicting that that you're bringing on a whole bunch of speakers who are not you. And that becomes a little bit confusing for the guests, because now they're being exposed to all of these amazing people and who all have probably something to sell. And no, they're not going to make a pitch, but yes, like they all have something to do in this space. And so it's almost like you're diluting their like attention away from you. Now, I'm not saying don't have any guest speakers, because if your heart's like, I really, really want to have speakers, I think maybe have one a day. At this, I would say you could have up to maybe 2 per day if you're going to do a full 8-hour day. But with this kind of half day format, I don't think I wouldn't do more than one. And I think the place for a summit is a really great lead generation tool where all of the people in the summit are pushing traffic. And then you're getting more exposure. You're getting exposure to more traffic that organically that you wouldn't have otherwise.
So would you?
I would.
Oh, sorry.
Go
Can you
ahead.
continue? So I mean to cut you off.
Well, so I mean, I feel like we should reveal how we met because that's the direction I want to go next. Is we met because I was producing James Wedmore's launch event. And he subscribes to a model where it's a 3-part live launch, and it's a Thursday 2-3 hour-ish event, and then a Tuesday 3-hour-ish event, and a Thursday 3 hours-ish event. And then the offer is made the following, I believe it's Monday. So, and there is a reason why that model works. And it's almost all the presenter whose thing is being sold. Like, there's something to be said about putting yourself up as and I should say, like, I was producing the event and it was a virtual launch event, and you were in as like, it was like a micro in studio
Mhm.
audience, and you were one of the audience members. And so it was so special to meet that way.
Yeah.
And so that model, I feel like, would be ideal for you. And the reason being is you're already thinking, I want to have that amount of time, right?
Mhm.
In terms of, and I think that's fabulous, because they're busy moms. And then I love the idea of it being live, as much as that could be nerve wracking, just because of, we talked about, like people just make a bigger effort to show up for something if it's live. And then match that with the recording component, where the recording is available. But when you said the recording would only be up for 24 hours, that freaks me out as a mom, because
Mm.
now I think I only have 24 hours, and I think I am going to fail. And so I'm not even going to try,
Oh.
because what if that, like, I love, one of my favorite mentors is Jesse Itzler, and he's a dad of 4. And a while back, he mentioned he was getting away from making daily goals and setting weekly goals, because he said, as a parent and a business owner, there's wild cards that happen, and you could have a day where it's like, oh shoot, I didn't get the stuff done that I wanted to get done. And then you feel like a failure. But if you give yourself this bigger window, then you have just like this higher success rate, and can feel better as a parent and a business owner, that it will all balance out when you give yourself a little bit more grace. And I feel like that mindset, and then this kind of 3-part live launch kind of event model, would work really great for you, because you have busy moms who are working, and it stresses me out that they would only have 24 hours. And I think if you gave them that whole, let's say we model that when you do a Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then they still have through that, so they have got almost 2 weekends then, because your offer is not going to come until the
Mhm.
Monday. 2 weekends to consume, plus a week to consume that content, and constantly kind of checking in with them, and maybe running contests or whatever. It makes it a little bit, you will plan that out in advance, but then people have that time, that breathing room, to feel like, I can accomplish this.
Mhm.
I'm supposed to watch 3 things. I'm going to get like about a week to do it, but I'm going to get to show up live if I schedule it into my calendar, and it feels good. The other model that I would recommend is if you wanted to try a 3-day event, and you just go 3 consecutive days. And in your case, we could make them 3 half days. And then the offer would always go almost at the end of the second day.
Mm.
So first day is all content. Second day is content. It would, in your case with half days, be mostly content, for the first half, and then you'd put the offer in, and then you would follow it up always with Q&A or hot seat coaching. So that, and the reason why that happens there, or if you have existing students that want to come on a panel and, like, share their case study, their stories live, it works the same. But essentially, we need to have a bookend after the offer, where the people who are now considering, like, is this for me or not for me, can watch you coach somebody else live, and then they put themselves in the seat of the person who's getting coached by you, and can imagine that you're going to transform their lives. Like, they're watching you transform that person's life live.
Mhm.
And then they can picture themselves sitting in that chair, and then they're like, well, okay, so she's like literally changing that woman's life right
Mhm.
now. And I can see her being able to do that for me too. And so it's a really nice place to put that type of like a section of the event, and like an agenda item, if you will.
Mhm.
And then the third day, there's a light repitch in the morning, and you can teach some more and send them off on a high note. That's the other model.
Okay.
But I would recommend one of those two if you're going to go virtual,
Okay.
and basically ditch the whole pre-recorded concept, or go completely pre-recorded. But I I would minimize the amount of speakers so that you're not confusing their. I I want to set you up as the expert,
Sure. Yeah.
and basically give you as much time as possible to showcase what you know, kind of carry them, like take them on a journey where you're teaching them stuff, helping them workshop, and then making them the offer of like, okay, I know there's a portion of you who are like good to go, and I've given you all the tools that you need, and you're just going to run. And then I know there's a portion of you who would like to keep going and would like it to be with me, and here's like the path.
Yeah.
Here's what that looks like, to have that additional support and accountability and community. How does all that feel?
I can see it. I can see it. And it's different than initially that I came to the table, and that's fine, and
Yeah.
I'm okay with different. I have a question. You mentioned a little bit earlier that this panel of speakers type of event works well with, like, a lead gen strategy. That is part of maybe I'm trying to mix 2
List
things
building.
into the
Yeah.
same bucket. I'm trying to do
Yeah.
2 things with 1 thing when in reality I just need to separate the 2. Um, I do need to grow my leads. Like, that is
Yeah.
huge
Yeah.
part of
Yeah.
it. And
So you want to do list building
yeah.
in a big way. Yeah.
So I'm curious if I were to stick with kind of the model still with having a panel of different
Yeah. Yeah.
speakers and we all build our
Mhm.
lists together kind of thing, and then did a
Yeah.
separate event for does the course. What if this wasn't like an enrollment event, it was a lead gen event? How have you seen those work?
You could still attempt to make you could still make your offer,
Mhm.
uh, and test it. But I think you will have, and I would encourage it, because if your heart's in, I just really want to have a multi-speaker event, then do it. I think if your goal is revenue, then I wouldn't recommend it
Okay.
as the model that you use. But uh, in the event space, I find people are just super passionate about, like, they have a vision, and it isn't always in alignment with what's going to drive the most revenue.
Yeah.
And so if you can detach yourself from that and be like, well, whatever happens, happens, and we'll do our best to optimize for sales, and know that we're not using an optimal model for it because we're just so passionate about doing a summit, then and I could do some more research on summits. There are many entrepreneurs who use summits, and I could go do some digging to figure out what type of thing are they selling, and how are they selling it as part of the summit, and figure out if there's a way that we can optimize for revenue and the summit model.
Yeah.
But I would think with this type of signature kind of program at this price point, that a summit is probably not the ideal path.
Okay, because that makes sense. I
Now,
think you bring up some really good points because it does, like, if I'm selling a signature program where I'm to be the expert, and then I'm bringing together panels of all these other experts that are,
mhm,
have their own signature programs that are related to it. Just,
mhm.
I think you're right. Will delete the conversion, right? Because, like,
Yeah, you're diluting your value.
yeah.
I've had a couple of clients who've just been absolutely married to the summit model. I had one, was it last year? No, it was in 2022. I can't. Yeah, we were already in a new year, and was just so confused why there wasn't a massive table rush. And it's like, well, so every moment was a different speaker other than you, and then you sold coaching with you, and it was like it's just confusing.
Yeah.
It's confusing because now we've got everyone so jazzed and been like, ooh, like everyone kind of came up with a different person from the lineup of 30
Yeah.
speakers that they jived with. And now they're kind of thinking, well, I'm going to go like test that path and see what do they have to offer.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
That's giving me some good things to think
The
about.
other thing I wanted to talk about for a moment
Yeah.
was math. And so we talked about traffic wanting to target 2,000
Mhm.
registrants. Now, you'll have to work with your traffic person to come up with some estimates on what each of those registrations is going to
Mhm.
cost. Excuse me. And I think that'll be helpful information to have and can help inform your ticket price as well. That's the other part to this is knowing what the revenue is going to be on the end helps inform how much traffic you can drive how much you can spend to acquire each registrant, right?
Sure.
But I just did some quick math on the 2000. So in a virtual event, in a virtual event that's paid, you can expect about 50 to 70% for showing up.
Okay.
Now, some have gotten up to 85%, but 50 to 70 is a really nice range. If it's free, 30 to 50% is what you can use for virtual. So if we go on the 50 to 70% because it's paid, people have some skin in the game, so they want to show up and get their value, then we could have worst case 1,000, best case 1,400 show up.
Mhm.
And then we can expect that we can convert 10 to 15%. Now, you don't have do you have experience selling this particular offer to know what your numbers might be? Okay.
I've sold it.
So
I've done
we'll
a beta before with it, but it was a bit different.
okay. So we'll just use industry standard of the 10 to 15%, but know that yours could convert better than that or worse because you're also still optimizing the offer, right?
Mhm.
And how you're making the pitch. So but let's use the 10 to 15%, then you could be in the worst case doing 140 to 210, or kind of in the best case 195,000 to 293,000. But again, those numbers are based off of kind of following a tried and true virtual event model that optimizes for
Mhm.
conversions. And as we talked about, doing a summit style you probably wouldn't see those numbers.
Okay, that's really good insight. I hadn't considered that the summit style would not be, the right format for an enrollment event. But you're completely right.
Hmm.
You've shown me that. That's awesome because that gives me a lot
Yeah,
to
I mean,
think
it's just
about.
like we have to. It's events get tricky
Yeah.
because there's so many different styles, but if our goal is a certain revenue target, and to enroll people into a thing, then what we really need to put the lens on is, well, I'm doing a launch. And so I should go follow a tried and true launch method.
Mm-hmm.
And in the event space, and I think specifically with your type of audience, I'd probably follow James's recommended 3-part live launch, because it gives so much breathing room between the 3 days,
Mm-hmm.
so that the busy mom can catch up and consume.
Yeah.
Because if they don't consume it, then, they haven't shown up. And if they haven't shown up and consumed the content, then they haven't gotten the wins that they need to be getting along the way,
Yeah.
and created that emotional connection to you, which is the purpose for that. The event is to create that know, like, trust,
Mm-hmm.
foster that kind of like stir the pot that there is a problem,
Yeah.
right? Give them some quick wins so that they can show that it's possible to make progress and to make it with you. And then obviously to introduce the solution at the end of being your Mom MBA thing. So it's all it becomes a very kind of, I don't want to say predictable, but like it's a launch. So
Yeah.
we're going to do all the things that would get you to the result the revenue target that you want, or have a lot of fun and bring on a lot of speakers and have a summit,
Yeah. I
because
yeah.
that's awesome too.
What's on my mind right now, kind of what I'm considering from our conversation, is potentially just treating the summit, because I've already reached out to some speakers, and I kind of, like, how hard would it really be to produce something like this? It doesn't seem like it's going to be super hard. Um, but put it on and not have any expectations of selling on the back end, and let just the ticket sales cover the price of the ads and lead generation, and then use those leads and market to those leads for then do a specific launch for the
Mhm.
signature program that is, like you're talking about, the 3-day live event. Boom, 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 the Tuesday, Thursday, Tuesday, or Monday, or whatever, however you structure it, kind of thing.
Yeah. And you could leverage your podcast as the delivery vehicle for your summit, and just make it even simpler and drop it all there, but also maybe put it up on YouTube.
Oh, that's great. I like that idea. Gonna have a bunch
Make
of
it,
them. Would you have them, a bunch of them, just drop in the same, like, in a short period of time, and be like, hey, this is part of our summit. All these are dropping within these 3 days, or however
yeah,
long.
they're going to drop every morning for a, 10 days straight, 10 speakers every morning at 9 a.m. You're going to get a new one. And then maybe you do something where then every day there's a live Q&A with you and the speaker on Zoom or something,
Mm-hmm.
or on, an IG live, to create that little bit of that urgency and scarcity and community
Would it be
effect and
free, or would it be
engagement.
paid? Would you, or like maybe a secret podcast type of thing?
Well, you could, yeah. I guess you could make it as a secret podcast that they have to pay to get access for. I know Kajabi has a way of doing that. Yeah, that could be a fun way to consume it, as like an on the go mom,
Mm-hmm.
to not even have to go to a landing page, like to just have it like basically a playlist ready.
Yeah. Okay.
But I know, like, I was just thinking, I wish I could find the sales page for, I know the Tapping Solution does a big summit every single year to sell something. I'm not sure what they're selling, if it's the app or excuse me, or if other programs, but I know that they've been very successful with the summit model for many years. I'm just not finding it right now over on the podcast, but I think That might be worth looking at.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Yeah. You're familiar with Nick Ortner?
I'm not. Mm-mm.
No. But you've heard of if you heard of the tapping
I
solution?
have. I've heard of the brand.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So they do a summit.
Okay.
Okay, what else is I was going to say? Virtual. So yeah, I think based on, I think you might want to, it might be nice to test what, or get some estimates on what it would cost per registrant
Mm-hmm.
and kind of balance so you can help inform your ticket price.
Mm-hmm.
Because if your goal is to at least break even and build your list, like what's your, like best case, worst case?
Yeah,
Like
but best
I have to
case.
have, like if the worst case is I build my list for free with a summit,
Mm-hmm.
then it would be good to get an estimate for, okay, what is traffic going to cost?
Mm-hmm.
And estimate the ticket on that. And I do love the idea of a 2-tier option for tickets, one being general admission, and I would give longer than 24 hours to watch it, regardless of what you decide to do, just because it's busy moms. I
Yeah.
think in that like
That's a
7 to
good
10
point.
days feels good. And then with a VIP option, upgrade on the thank you page with maybe it's like you said, the private Q&A, like happy hour kind of thing, and like lifetime access to the recordings. And maybe I always like to have 3 bonuses for a VIP.
Okay.
And so then maybe you also do some sort of, maybe you have an extra download or something that you could add in.
Okay.
It's nice if it's like 3 different styles of things that they're getting. Yeah,
Okay.
that would be pretty cool. I've probably given you more questions than answers.
No, this has actually been very helpful. It's been good to talk through it because this is something I've never embarked on before. And so I think as consumers, like all of us have, probably attended different styles of events online and we're like, I kind of like this from this, and I kind of like this from that. And then when you start putting it together, and as you pointed out in our conversation today, they don't always fit together, and
Well, they could. It's like what's the goal though?
exactly.
And do they fit together with the goal that you have?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then just get realistic on the goal based on how you want to run the event.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And because I can tell your heart's like, gosh, it made such a big impact on me to be able to hear from all of those different experts and get different perspectives, and that you want to deliver that as well. And I totally honor that. And think it would be so fun.
Yeah.
And cool. Like I would gonna register.
Yeah. But I think it's good though that I do adjust my own expectations and not think that I'm going to get a 10% conversion rate if I were to, put my signature course out there, because it just doesn't mean for that. So, but if I was able to take the leads and focused it on being a lead gen, if I choose to do the summit model and then apply it, take those leads and then put them into another launch, that's some free leads there. I'll take free leads if the summit pays for itself. That's great.
Yeah, and then just make sure that you have a model on the back end that you're ready to keep them warm.
Yes, good point.
Until it's time.
How far?
And
yeah,
you could. I don't know. It's kind of a low price for. You could do an application call on the back end instead of making a pitch with the summit. And then sell your thing that way. Typically, you're not going to do an application call unless it's at least a $5,000 thing. But maybe you could kind of come up with a model that would be that
Okay.
and be able to make some sales on the back end and consider that
Okay.
potentially. Yeah, I could see that being making you a little bit of revenue off of it when we're not optimized for converting like a high volume into a signature program.
Yeah.
But you might, yeah, I don't know. I'm like shaking my head at that idea because I was just on with a potential client. Was it last month or the month before? And they do this summit model as well. And they just had very good traction with traffic, and we're able to hit these numbers that you're telling me, like in terms of 2,000 plus registrants. That was very easy for them to be able to do, but they were making their money off of sponsor revenue
Oh,
by giving but by having their speakers pay to come on and get access to that much traffic. And they were not selling much of their offer on the back end, like maybe like 5 to 10 of their high end, like
okay.
10 to $15,000 offer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was explaining to them the same thing I explained to you. It's just like, it's not an event that's optimized to sell you as the coach and to like edify you. But that could be an option where you're considering if you're going to pay to drive that much traffic to something, then you might be able to get your speakers to pay you to be able to have that stage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not probably a lot. It's probably somewhere between like in the 2 to 5,000 range,
Okay.
but it could help then drive a little bit of revenue. And because I feel like a person I was talking to probably ended up netting maybe like 150,000 between sponsor revenue and selling maybe like 5 of their $10,000 to $15,000 things.
Okay.
So
In regards to
that's
sponsorships, a question about that.
mhm,
If a speaker were to come on to, or when speakers come on to events and pay, like as a sponsor to
mhm.
speak, as a host, do I build it into the terms and conditions to share the registrants' emails with them, or are they responsible for pitching in a way that gets
most
people
people
opt in?
most sponsors, if they've done this before, they want a list.
Okay, they'll get the list with it. Okay.
Yeah, they want a list.
Okay.
Yeah. Hmm. But then you also would make terms with them on if they get to pitch, or if they like if they get to make a full-blown offer, or if they just get to mention how to get a hold of them.
Okay.
Yeah, and you get to choose what the terms are.
Hmm.
And I remember this the person I was talking to saying that even though they were so clear, they still had a couple who kind of towed the line and did more than the soft, here's how you can get a hold of me.
Yeah.
Did more of like a full pitch and was distracting, and because they were preferring a model where there was no pitching,
Yeah.
but your logo is going to be prominent in absolutely everything. We're going to definitely make sure it's clear how they get a hold of you and what you do, but your 15 to 20 minute slot or whatever is meant to teach them something.
Hmm.
The other thing I'm thinking of, I don't want to forget to tell you,
Yeah.
is this definitely is a good candidate for a bring a friend program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because moms like to tell other moms about stuff.
Mhm.
So I would definitely, I actually, I have a podcast episode for you to listen to.
Oh, I love that.
It is with Ashley Klein or Ashley Stanford. I can't remember which last name is on it. And she talks all about programs like that and is an expert at it, in fact.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'll send you that one afterwards to listen. I think that would be really helpful.
I appreciate that.
But just something to think about, because I think you could probably drive up your numbers significantly and make good use of your paid traffic by turning it into by leveraging the bring a friend. Get like two
How do
for
you
one.
do that generally? Like, is it a
In this case, the podcast episode I'm going to recommend to you, they actually have a widget you can add to your thank you page where it puts a unique link so they can almost like become an affiliate instantly and
Oh,
share and then get like their ticket paid for or half off because of sharing it with someone who takes it on. Otherwise, if you don't want to, it's what is it? Episode 101. It's called Why Your Event Needs a Pre-Launch Runway with Ashley Stanford.
okay.
But she's got lots of great ideas in there for, because she has experience in things like fun runs and stuff like that, where
Mhm.
and your event kind of falls into that category where your niche is like, it's not almost half the population, but there's so many people who fall into this category of like working mom, entrepreneur mom. And whereas, if it was something for random uh women with scoliosis like me, it would be a little bit hard for me to instantly on a thank you page be given this like referral code and know who I'm going to go share it with, because I actually actually don't know off the top of my, well, maybe my trainer from the gym, I think she told me she has scoliosis, but like I don't, whereas if it was a mom who's either a working mom or a entrepreneur mom, like that's easy, and I can come up with a dozen names without um, thinking too hard, right?
Mhm.
So you have one of those niches where uh, optimizing for a bring a friend could be great, and you could use like a actual paid tool, like I think it's Ice Cream Social is one of her brands that does this, or even just the verbiage that is, coming to this event is going to be more fun with a friend. So who are you going to, share this with someone that you know right now while you're thinking of it, some sort of language like that. And then additionally following up in all of the follow-up emails with copy that they could just easy copy paste and share with a friend.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that's a great idea. I hadn't given much thought to that strategy. I think it could really have a
I
good
think
impact.
I think there's some power to that. I know one of my favorite mentors is Brendan Burchard, and he is famous for the $97 ticket to his in-person events, and you can bring a friend for free. And they say with an optimized bring a friend, you could increase your audience size by 30 some percent. So it's worth investing into
Yeah.
a thoughtful process there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
I think I've given you a lot to think about, especially at it's 10:30 at night your time.
I'm just getting started, girl.
It's
After
exciting though
bedtime.
to plan. Yeah. Well, this is when moms get to stay-at-home moms get to work.
It's
It's when
true.
they're asleep.
Yeah.
What else is on your heart? Is there anything else that you'd want to cover before we wrap?
I do have a question about a technical
Mhm.
question
Yeah.
because you have great experience in all parts events, everything from the strategy to the technical piece of things.
Mhm.
You mentioned Brendan Burchard's event where he does bring a friend for free.
Mhm.
For
Mhm.
virtual events, w- how does that easily work? Is there any program software link? I mean, or how would you approach it if you had I'm using Kajabi. Let me just say that. I'm using
Okay.
Kajabi as my checkout.
Yeah.
Do I
I
just
would what I would do is I'm a Kajabi user myself and a huge fan. I would probably add a name and email field to the checkout page to capture or actually now that I'm thinking about it, have them completely I'm a big fan of eliminating any friction in the buying process. So I think the bring a friend part would fall into the category of like t-shirt size. Really nice to have. Do not need that in order to take their money and their email. And so we want to optimize for name, email, and
Mhm.
then purchase done on the thank you page. That's where I would put on the thank you page, that's probably where you should put a video from you upselling the VIP.
Okay.
And I would do it in Kajabi, I would do that as a one-click upsell. Yeah. And then on the thank you page, that's where I would probably I haven't done it with Kajabi before. So I'm thinking through this live. And that's where I think I would put a name and email field to bring a friend. I almost want to go open up um, the Growth Day website right now and see how they're selling because they're doing they're doing Brendan's doing an event every Monday or every first of the month right now. And I have a hunch that it's being run the same way where it's like a $97 ticket with a bring a friend for free. And I'm trying to remember because back in the day before he was using Circle, he was using Kajabi as the bring a friend. And I'm trying to picture where it was. So you check out and then you do the one click upsell to sell the VIP. I think it's on the thank you page then. And collect a name and email of the friend that you want to bring.
Okay.
That's what I would do. And you could also follow up by email and send them to a totally different and send them back to that thank you page or a different version of it that collects name and email of like a guest.
Okay.
Now you're going to make me I'm going to go into all of the events that I've bought in the past and go look at the language on where it was, but I'm pretty sure that's the model with Kajabi of how you would do it, because then you just do a super simple form on the thank you page
Okay.
to collect name and email
And then from that
of the
form, then
guest.
I would have a follow-up sequence where I'd reach out to that person and be like, "Hey, you just got a
Mm-hmm.
complimentary ticket from your friend so and so.
Yeah,
Here's how
because
to
I think
claim."
you still here's how you redeem it,
Mhm.
because I think is that it, because I'm trying to figure out how we get there um, like permission to email them,
Mhm.
you know,
That too.
because they didn't opt in.
Like, "How can I help? How can I get you?"
Yeah, I feel like I need to figure this out and then tell you how.
Okay.
I'm gonna take that as my like homework item.
Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate that. That's very helpful. Thank
Bring a
you. You're so
friend
kind.
with Kajabi and doing it in more of like a manual versus like buying a bolt-on tool like Ice Cream Social. Got it. All right, it's on my homework list. What else?
Very kind. I think that's very helpful. When you see, my last question for you is, I'm new to this virtual event space.
Mm-hmm.
As you've seen entrepreneurs come in and create their first virtual events, are there any common blind spots that you see entrepreneurs have and things that I should be aware of to make sure that I don't miss so that it sets me up for better success in the end?
I'm just such a fan of showing up human and authentically and live, and that being enough, really.
Okay.
The purpose really is to get to know, like, and trust you.
Mhm.
And I think that happens absolute best when they're live and they can interact with you and see that you're human.
Mhm.
It just makes everything more real. I know we're still hanging out in a Zoom window, but there is just something to be said for two-way communication that makes it an event versus watching Netflix.
Sure.
But you got to think
Yeah.
about what's my goal, and can I accomplish if it's list building, can I accomplish it with a pre-recorded summit? Yeah. But if it's something more, then I think it needs to be live, like we talked about,
Mhm.
just to kind of amp up that human factor. And then I think there's just so many things that change based on if it's pre-recorded or if it's live. But if we're assuming that it's live, then I think not doing it yourself, having somebody there with you is so important. Even if it's just to moderate the chat and to keep an eye on letting people in, or just who knows what.
Mhm.
But I would definitely have an assistant of sorts,
Okay.
a friend that you can be like, could you come
Come
join
help
for
me.
free and help me, please?
Yeah.
That is ideal.
Okay.
And I think and then just having done a practice, even if it's just yourself, of how you're going to get in and how you're going to get out of it if you're doing it live,
Yeah.
is great. But you're a podcast host, so you talk all the time. But but I think a big blind spot for people is the money part. And so doing your due diligence and running the numbers on what you need to spend money on and what that will cost,
Mhm.
and knowing where the revenue is going to come in, I think is super helpful so that
Yeah.
you're not surprised. Yeah. I think that's a big
Fabulous.
piece.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, yeah, if you go with the summit route, whether they pay to come, but more importantly, if they don't pay to come, I think there should be some commitment on their part about how they're going to share it organically, especially if you're paying for the traffic.
Okay.
Because, I mean,
For the
that's just such a
speakers?
big deal
Yeah.
that they're getting access to that size of a community
Mhm.
live.
Okay.
It's a big room.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah.
right. That's good to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fair for me to be like, hey, you're required to send this many emails, do this many social posts, that
Well,
kind of thing. Not required, but maybe like, hey, like, will you pull your part here?
yeah, it really depends on what stage business they're in.
Hmm.
But I think some reciprocity would be good.
Okay.
Yeah, a friendly way. Yeah, I think so. And I mean, I think you have a lot of bandwidth as if you do decide to go the sponsor route of different, but definitely, just I would focus on curation if you go the summit route. Just be very, very careful about who you bring in
Okay.
and how they complement each other and you.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't expect to get free speakers with a smaller than what you've identified audience. But if you are going to drive 2,000 registrants, that's significant. And I think you could get away with asking for the speakers to come for free or even paying.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Sarah. This has
You're
been
welcome.
so helpful. It's been so great to be able to talk through these questions that have just been ping-ponging in my head
Yeah.
and talk to somebody who's an expert at this. So helpful.
It's fun. It's my favorite thing. Yeah, I think you have a lot to iron out, and then you can kind of, in terms of format and kind of basically deciding what your goal is, and then that will dictate your format, I think.
Okay.
And yeah, I think that's the biggest question to answer. Is your goal to build your email list, or is your goal to build your email list and sell your thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if it's to sell your thing, then optimize for the fact that you're doing a launch and follow a tried and true method so that you can really get a sense for how did the pitch go? How are you converting? So that you could do it again.
Yeah.
And work on iterating and improving on kind of how the launch went.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will keep you posted on what I decide to do. I'm going to make a decision here within the next probably 24 hours or so because I just sent out some speaker invite emails today. And so I've got to decide whether I'm going to continue forward with those or if I'm going to it up and do a 3-day and then just looking at, like you mentioned, looking at what are my true goals, and really going all in, whatever that is, whether it's the revenue or the leads and owning it.
Yeah. Are you launching a product or are you building a list?
Yeah.
I'm excited for you either way.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll keep you posted.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Maria. I appreciate it. And I just wish you absolute best on your virtual event.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah. And whatever it is, it's going to be amazing. So thank you.
And I'm going to come.
Yay. Okay, great. Love to have you.
1 registration done. Check.
Whew, check. Great.
All right. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Greenroom Central podcast. If you loved this episode, then please take a screenshot on your phone and post it to Instagram. And be sure to tag @SarahPfeiffer and let me know why you liked it and what you'd like to hear or who you'd like to hear from in the future. That'll help me know what to create for you. The number one thing I'm asked by CEOs, whether it's their first event or their 20th, is, Sarah, how do I get more butts in seats? And so I put together a guide for you. Head over to fillingevents.com for your free copy of 107 ways to fill your event. I want to help you quickly master event marketing and fill your events, even if you've never done it before. I've scoured the online business world and found 107 of my favorite strategies working right now to fill your next in-person or virtual event. Create the event promotion plan you need from these easy-to-implement, customizable strategies for free over at fillingevents.com. I appreciate your commitment to leveling up and learning the mindset and strategy of live events. Keep going. Keep learning. If you want more, head over to greenroomcentral.com for show notes and all the links from today's episode.